Well, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending upon where you are in the world, and welcome to today's DevOps.com webinar. I'm Charlene O'Hanlon, moderator for today's event, and I welcome you. We have a great event on tap. This is going to be a good one, folks. But before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items we need to go over. First of all, today's event is being recorded, so if you miss any or all of the event, you will have the opportunity to access it later on. Following today's webinar, we will be sending out an email that contains a link to access the webinar on demand. And we are taking questions from the audience. So if at any time during today's presentation you have a question for either of our speakers, please don't wait, don't hesitate. Just use the question and answer tab and submit your questions, and we will try to get to as many as we can near the end of today's webinar. We also have a very interactive chat feature, so I do encourage you to chat us your questions, comments, suggestions, whatever you want to share with us. We'll be more than happy to take them. We might even chat you back. And at the end of today's webinar, we are going to be doing a drawing for 4 $25 Amazon gift cards, as well as 2 $250 vouchers to Joget Academy. So thanks to Ravish and the folks over at Joget for providing that. But with that, let's go ahead and kick off today's webinar, which is accelerating customer onboarding using OpenShift and Joget. Our speakers today are Ravish Dewan, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Joget, and Lee Cho-yi, who is the Head of Digital Innovation and Design over at Alliance Bank. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Ravish, I know you're going to be kicking off the conversation, so I'm going to take myself off camera, put myself on mute, and let you guys going. But before I do, I also want to let the audience know we have 2 polling questions during today's presentation, so please be on the lookout for those.
Thank you so much, Charlene, and thank you very much. Kick off. And this is Ravish Dewan. I am the CEO of Joget. I've done a lot of application development delivery throughout the my life, and I've probably purchased all sorts of softwares available as it stands today from various perspectives, both for application development, infrastructure, so on and so forth. I have with me Chui Lee. He's the head of innovation. I will allow him to introduce himself, and we'll go off from there and kick off the conversation today. Chui.
Hi all. Thanks, Ravish. My name is Chui. So I'm head of digital innovation and design at Alliance Bank. So basically, I started my career with as a developer. I just spent 15 years as a developer. Then I moved to another role, more like an architect role. So currently, I'm helping the bank in their digital transformation journey. Back to you, Ravish.
Thank you very much, Chui. So let's get started, and let's set the context for this conversation. These are some stats that we pulled together for year 2020. And if you look at the application development and support activities in any IT organization, the average total spend on application development and support is around 35% of the total IT spend. And when you look at that, this is not even full dollars going to, application development support. And out of those dollars, only 19.2% goes towards creation of new applications. So when you talk about creation of new applications or releasing new application in any enterprise, it's around 19.2% only. That's the amount of investment that goes into application development. Now, the questions that we have in front of us today are old ways enough for delivery? I mean, can you still deliver, with the same old way, keeping in mind today's changing environment, right? Are you changing at the pace your environment is changing? We have seen COVID, things changed overnight. Every single business changed in today's environment, whether it was doing good or it was doing bad. Irrespective of how you perform, you have changed today. How, application delivery is happening today is also changed, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And the third thing is your current pace of delivery enough? Are you delivering fast enough as your business is changing? These are the key questions that we need to answer, and we also will try to think about how can you deal with these constraints. If you have these constraints in front of you, and if I look at any IT manager, they can answer this question all by themselves, that today they have more requirements than yesterday, they have less budget than yesterday, and they are asked to do more with that less budget going forward. That's the reality on the ground as it stands today for every single IT manager. I am yet to meet someone who tells me I have enough budget or enough time to deliver the applications. On top of that, I will be shocked if somebody says I have all the requirements from business that I need to start building the application. None of that happens in current environment. It's just because the things are changing too fast for us. So what's going to happen? It will matter how you deliver your business applications. This is not the same world. And I'll explain why I say that. Everything about the application development is changing fast. It has changed already, and it's going to keep changing on you. Let's talk about the application architectures. Earlier we had monolithic application on mainframe, and then we went to client server, then we went to web 2.0, you name it. Today's architecture for applications is very different. We are now talking about composable applications, wherein you start building smaller applications, and then you compose those applications into a bigger, complicated applications. We are talking about microservices. We are talking about serverless architecture. The whole application architecture landscape has completely changed for you right now. Then let's talk about the application development tools. DevOps, Agile, delivery pipeline. We are talking about CI/CD tools. We want to deliver fast. On top of that, now there is a lot of discussion about rise of citizen developer. We'll talk about that, what a citizen developer means. But these are the forces in the environment today, right? And then the third is the application infrastructure. Infrastructure as a code, container and container platforms are taking the front seat right now. And everyone is talking about cloud, public cloud, on-premise cloud, edge cloud, all those things. So now if you take a step back and look at your environment, your application architecture has changed, your application development tool sets have changed, your application infrastructure has changed. Considering all these changes, how are you keeping up with this? Are you ready? Can you take all these changes into your environment today and still go at a speed that business wants you to go with? This is the question that we need to answer for us. Let's talk about, there is a lot of discussion about the containers, and we have some stats how the containers are being used. Let's do a quick poll on containers.
Yeah, so the polling question should be out to you right now. The question is, are you using or plan to use containers? You can choose from yes, we are using containers. Yes, we plan to use it in the next 3 months. Yes, we plan to use it in the next 6+ months, or no, we don't have any plan whatsoever. I hope nobody chooses no, but we've already gotten some responses in so far. I'll go ahead and leave the poll open here for about a little less than a minute. Make sure that everybody has enough time to make their choice. And while we're waiting, just a quick reminder that you don't have to wait. If you've got a question for either Ravish or Yuchi, you can go ahead and just put your question in the question and answer tab, and we'll hold on to it until we get to the question and answer period. So you don't have to wait if you do have a question. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give the audience about 10 more seconds to make their response, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the results. We can counting it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Poll is now closed. Let's take a look at the results. The question was, are you using or plan to use containers? An overwhelming percentage of respondents, 64%, said yes, they are using containers. And then an equal number, 18% each, said that they were going to be using them in the next 6 months or the next 3 months. So thankfully, we did not have anybody who said that, no, they don't have any plans. So there you go.
This is amazing. This is amazing, Charlene. I mean, we are talking about containers. 80% of the folks on this event are already engaged with the containers. That speaks for itself.
Right.
That it's going to be adopted. It's being adopted at a very fast pace.
Exactly. I agree, and it's a great state of the industry that we have so much container adoption already. So I expect great things in this channel.
So let's talk about the key assumption in application delivery that are being projected right now from advisory companies, so on and so forth. So here is an interesting information to share. By 2023, active number of citizen developers at large enterprise will be 4 times the number of professional developers. In fact, there is a study that came out earlier this year from Gartner that talks about 80% of the technology products will be built by non-technical professionals. That's a big number to talk about. So the focus is citizen developers right now. A lot of companies are looking at citizen developers being being in the forefront for innovation, so on and so forth. And what they're also saying is 70% of the new application development is going to be in low-code, no-code platforms. That is up by 25%, from last year prediction. So this is significant numbers that we're talking about when it comes to low-code, no-code platforms or citizen developers. Citizen developer is someone who will not know coding and yet be able to build business applications using these platforms. And 40% of the teams are expected to support containers in 2021. That's a big number. And if I look at 2025 stats, 85% of the global organizations will be running containerized applications. It's evident from today's poll also that 80% of you are already engaged with the containers. That's a significant number, and we are seeing the same stats across the globe. Here is the this from chart is from Forrester. If you look at adoption, 67% or higher, and it's evident from the chart. 60% have already adopted containers. This is where we are. This is the reality that we are dealing with when it comes to container adoption, so on and so forth. So now let's talk about these two game-changing technologies. One is obviously cloud-native platforms, containers, OpenShift. Red Hat came up with the Red Hat Marketplace earlier last year, and they've released that marketplace for for their customers. And low-code platforms like Joget. I mean, if you look at container-native platforms, that is becoming a need rather than a want. Going forward, it's not an option for you. You will get to those platforms sooner or later. And second is the agility and the speed by which the application development and delivery is needed now. The environment post-COVID is even faster than you think right now, just because everything is now expected digitally. We are across the globe, having this conversation. Chewy is joining from Malaysia. Alliance Bank is in Malaysia, and here we are across various different geographies having this conversation, which is great. And all this is technology driven. So can these be the game-changing platforms for you? Let's take a closer look. I want to make sure that everyone understands what it means when we say low-code platforms coupled with the cloud-native technologies for building cloud-native applications. What does it mean to you and your organization? So just a quick overview. Joget is an open source low-code, no-code platform. What it means is what you can do with Joget. There is a UX builder. You can drag and drop and create screens to capture data. You can create process to run that data through that process, steps, if it goes from one person to another role, so on and so forth. We also have a searchable views, something called a data list builder, wherein you can create screens. You've already captured the data, but you want to be able to search that data and see those results and go into the details. You can again build that by drag and drop. You can create reports. You have captured the data. You want some canned reports. within your application, you can do that. And last but not the least, when you have built all these applications using a citizen developer who does not know coding, and they are being asked, great, you have a great application, I want to integrate this application with other applications in enterprise. How do you do that? You have an API builder for that. Anything you create in Joget, whether it's process or user interface or searchable view, everything is exposed as an API as well. You can drag and drop and create APIs around these objects within Joget. So that becomes a very powerful solution to create business applications. Joget is available on Red Hat Marketplace. You can go there. You can try. There is a free trial available on Red Hat Marketplace. You don't have to be you don't have to host your OpenShift cluster with Red Hat Marketplace. You can deploy that on your existing clusters as well. So Joget image is available in Red Hat Red Hat container directory as well. So you can pull that image from there as well. Let's do a quick poll. How many of you guys are looking at using low-code platforms or planning to support citizen developers within your organization? Charlene, over to you.
All right, great. So the poll is out to you now. The polling question is, are you using or plan to use low-code platforms to support citizen developers? Your choices are yes, we are using low-code platforms. Yes, we plan to use it in the next 3 months. Yes, we plan to use it in the next 6+ months, or no, we don't have any plans. So once again, you can go ahead and make your choice. I'm going to leave the poll open here. And just another quick reminder that today's event is being recorded. So if you miss any or all of the event, or if you're just going to want to watch it again, you'll be able to do that. We will be sending out an email after today's webinar that contains a link to access the webinar on demand. And the webinar is also going to be living on the DevOps.com website, so you can always go look for it there after today's event. All right, looks like we've got a pretty healthy number of responses. I'm going to give folks about 10 more seconds to make their choice, and then we'll close the poll and we'll take a look at the response. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, closing the poll now. Let's see what we got here. All right, the question was, are you using or plan to use low-code platforms to support citizen developers? The majority of folks actually looks like we have 44% who said no, they don't have any plan, but maybe after today's webinar, they will have a plan. The next largest number, though, did say that yes, 38%, they are using low-code platforms already. So and then the rest, 13%, said they plan to use it in the next 6+ months. And yes, 6% said they plan to use it in the next 3 months. So there you have it. It looks like we've got some people who are on the fence, but hopefully, hopefully as they learn more about low code, they will look at it as a benefit to their business.
Cool. Let me share a perspective here, Charlene. We see a good number already looking at low-code platforms. That's great. But then those who are not looking at low-code platforms, I just want to quickly highlight a few points here. Citizen developer is now becoming a movement, if you will. And if we all know PMP certification and PMI Institute, you will be surprised they have a citizen developer certification that they launched earlier this year. You can really become a certified citizen developer, and there are their own principles to follow, how you should be thinking about business applications. And by virtue of the fact that a renowned institute that is offering PMP certification is now offering a citizen developer certification, you can imagine this is becoming a principle in itself right now. And that's the world that we are entering right now with low-code platforms. Let's quickly see how it creates value for anyone who's using these no-code platforms. So if you take a look at the typical application development lifecycle activities, there are a bunch of requirements and design. You get into a development environment, you set up the development environment, then you build the application, you set up the test environments, you test the application, you go to the prod, you release the application. These are primarily the activities involved in any application development lifecycle. And the ones that you see are in red, if you will, are infrastructure activities. These are currently being automated by OpenShift. If you look at OpenShift, what it does is it gives you the infrastructure acceleration that you're looking for within your organization, right? Creation of the server, putting it on the network, all those things are now completely automated using OpenShift. And the next life cycle is the application development life cycle, which takes the majority of the time when it comes to building and releasing a new application. This whole process is being accelerated by Joget. You can use Joget to create your Joget as a low-code, no-code platform to be able to create your business application and release those business applications in production. After this webinar, you are free to go to YouTube, search for OpenShift and Joget. You get plenty of videos to look at. Within 15 minutes, you can go from nothing to a fully working application, which means you had no server, nothing. You start, with OpenShift. You click, you get the environment up and running in 5 minutes. Another 10 minutes to build an application to try out the full life cycle of an application that you can release. So that's pretty powerful when you're talking about going from nothing to a fully working app in less than 15 minutes. When I put these two things together, you are talking about a full lifecycle acceleration within your organization. You have accelerated every step of the process, whether it's application development or application infrastructure. You have automated the whole life cycle of the project. You can use your existing CI/CD pipeline to do all that, along with when you're building with Joget application, and you are poised to get you are positioned to get almost around 60 to 70% of the time saving overall. And we're not talking about just an idea. This is something that was actually achieved by Alliance Bank. Alliance Bank did what they did in a record time frame. And I have Chui, their head of innovation, to share this story as well today with us. So with that, I'll highlight a few other things. When it comes to containers, if you will. One is, what is the benefit of the containers that you're adopting, or the container platforms that you're adopting? Obviously, you get the agility that you need. You're supporting a modern architecture. You are obviously DevOps enabled. You can do these things at a much faster pace. Now, I do highlight our customers always that be aware the automation and the speed at which you go. You have to do things in new ways, not the old ways anymore. Because when you automate a mess, you get an automated mess. Do not get into that. And second is from the citizen development platforms. What are the benefits? You will see the first benefit itself is the innovation lifecycle, enabling self-service for business innovation. Your business is not at the mercy of an application developer to develop their idea into a working business application or a prototype. They can do it themselves. They can ideate, they can validate, they can create the prototype, and they can even implement those applications in production. Improving the business and IT alignment is another key aspect. You get so tightly coupled with your delivery team that there is a very strong business and IT alignment by virtue of the way application is being built using these platforms. And obviously the implementation becomes faster. And we have that example from Alliance Bank. They are digitally transformed bank, I would say, and bank that is ready for future, ready for post-COVID world that enabled us to go from nothing to a completely virtual world in matter of days, weeks, or months, if you will. Chui, welcome, and I would appreciate if you can take it over.
Okay, thank you, Ravish. So hereby, I would just like to share about how Alliance Bank first experience with Joget. So we already had OpenShift for a few years. We successfully to transform a few applications from the traditional, monolithic kind of applications into microservices. But then I would like to share how we started with Joget and why we want to start with Joget. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is because we want to fit in. We have this idea of a software factory delivery stream. We want to learn from the factory of their efficiency. So from my personal point of view, is software development is kind of similar to how factory manufacture product, right? So why factory is fast? I think to me is that there are only a few points. First is they have a mold, right? They have a mold, and then they have a automation, a lot of automation. That's why they are fast. So I'm keep thinking that how can we already have automation through OpenShift, but how do we make the mold? Okay. So I will just explain our journey along the way. So here are some challenges of software development in a banking environment. I think as a developer, you sure know what are the challenges, right? I would like to highlight on the one that we hated the most, changing environment, adapting to changing environment. The market changed so fast. Yesterday, yesterday like Friendster is what it was the hottest in the market, suddenly become Facebook for 10 years, right? Then you have TikTok, right? Become a rising star. It changes so fast, so we need to make ourselves agile and lean enough to adapt to the changing market. Yeah, next. So just reiterate again how monolithic system works. But this one is, of course, this one is very exaggerated kind of way. I know you can tell me you have an object-oriented kind of thing, right? But generally, when we want to create 3 applications, for example, personal loan, home loan, car loan, right? Generally, you are duplicating your codes, no matter you are object-oriented or inheritance or what, you are duplicating your code. So when you want to make changes, right? For example, you want to make changes on your AMLA check, you have to make 3 times. Even your object-oriented, you need to move, renew your libraries and recompile and redeploy. You can't skip all those steps. With this is where OpenShift container image coming in. If you are not planned to use container, I think this is a very good use case for you, because if you have containers, you can have the same container that's serving personal loan, home loan, and car loan. It's the same container. So any changes you make, it will reflect to all 3 applications. So there are 3 fundamental issues from my point of view. Limited reusability, right? And a long development process. Yeah, I missed this point. Basically, how long to develop a mature full suite kind of applications? For our experience is at least 6 to 9 months kind of duration in order to have a full feature applications. It's because every time you have to go through the whole waterfall cycle, and if something wrong, normally it's at the end of a UAT cycle, the product owner will tell you that, oh, this is not what I wanted. Then what you need to do, you need to go back to the way beginning stage, redo all over again. That's why it's always 6 to 9 months. But because after 6 to 9 months, market change, and product owner will tell you that this is not what I wanted, or this is not what the market wanted, right? You need to change again. So we could never catch up. It's a plain stupid idea. Yeah. This is we can't adapt to change with this kind of model. It might be working in the 90s, but now it's the 21st century. This is too slow, way too slow. Yeah, so just want to share with you our how do we set up the software factory delivery stream. Yep. Next, please. So basically, it is look at this slide, right? You will say that you are doing around this about the same thing, but what are the differences? We have microservices, so most of the services can be reused straight away, and we also have the blue-green deployment kind of services, which means we can run version 1.1 and 1.2, or even 1.3, depends on use cases, all together at once, okay, concurrently. And then why we want to term it as a software factory is because in the planning stage or design, in the design stage, right, we pre-built the UI through Joget. In Joget, you can drag and drop the UI components, and then there are a lot of pre-built components in Joget. You can just drag and drop. They come with even the some navigation, text box, buttons, basically what you can imagine. They're already pre-built for you. You just need to drag and drop, arrange it as a form, then you are good to go. That's why we pre-built all those. For example, in the example in the earlier slides, right? We pre-built the applications forms. So whenever there's a new requirement for personal loan, we just need to grab the template, modify a bit, then we are good to go. That's why we want to name it as a factory delivery stream, because it looks like a factory. And of course, in the factory, a lot of automation. Where is automation coming in? In this case, we have a lot of test automation tools. We are using Ansible to do our deployment. We are using BDD, behavioral driven development, which is the product owner we force the product owner to write the requirements in the BDD format. So our testing team can develop the test script based on the BDD format. And with all these CI/CDs kind of thing, right? It enables us to go to UAT and go to production in less than 1 day. And of course, another point I want to bring up for the importance of CI/CD of DevOps is because it increases the quality of your product. Because we do testing at the very early stage rather than we push to the end of the stage, which is I think is Toyota invented this idea of a TQM, total quality management, in the early 90s or 80s, which they do quality check at the very beginning of the stage. So we also take the kind of thinking or philosophy. We do our testing. If you look at my chart, we are doing unit tests and functional tests during the development stage. So we do a lot. We are running on Agile Scrum. So every 2 weeks we have a testing, which is through test automation and unit tests. And at the end of the cycle, we have a regression, another round of testing. That's why this is how we ensure the quality of our software. Of course, deployment, we have Ansible for deployment. So this is to ensure we deploy the right thing at the right time. And yeah, next. So this is the high-level architecture for comparison, okay, to the previous traditional monolithic architecture. So as you can see, we have personal loan, all the Joget hosting all the application forms. Then we have an orchestration layers, which is hosting all our business logic. And then in the middle, right, we use AMQ stream as a messenger between Joget and our business logic or microservice. Why we want to do this is because Joget come with their own database actually. So every single form they can store their own data. But what if they want to pass the data back to our microservices, or they need to retrieve data from the microservices? So we are using this AMQ stream becomes a middleman layer to let the system talk to each other. So AMQ stream is gonna be our main messenger or postman, if you like. Of course, to talk to the legacy system, we use the traditional SOA. All right. Next, please. Yeah. So Joget on OpenShift. So far, why we choose Joget out of all those low code, no code platform? There are a lot of benefits over there, but a few things I would like to stress on is the drag and drop UI, which is very convenient to us, because then the developer can become a citizen developer. The product owner can become a citizen developer. Okay, sounds like Alliance Bank is a slave driver. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Then another thing I would like to stress on is the strong plugin architecture for you to extend, which is because as a bank we need to deal with a lot of different systems. For example, AMLA system, for example, the SOA or other legacy system. So with this plugin, then if it's not supported by Joget out of the box, we can build the plugin. Voila, it works, right? And yeah, the plugin can be written in the plain Java, vanilla Java. So it's quite kind of convenient to us. And another thing is the progressive web app compliance, which is PWA compliance. This is important to us in our scenario, because what we are doing is we want the forms in Joget not only to serve web, but to serve mobile app too. I will show you how later. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah, accelerated business application. So this is our first experience with Joget on OpenShift, which is our Alliance Online Mobile eKYC Customer Onboarding Solution. Forgive me, I have to spell out the whole. I have to pronounce the whole thing, because this is a requirement from the COCOM. So we developed this one during when COVID just started. Okay, so we had this idea that we don't want customer to go to branch to open an account. This is very inconvenient. This is very not safe. Okay, that's why we have this initiative to let customer to open account, to apply for personal loan, to apply for credit card, all through their mobile phone. So with this mobile app, right, a customer can just pull out the app and scan their ID, which is we call My Card in Malaysia. And we have a face recognition built in, which will scan, do a selfie, then we do a face recognition with your IC, with your ID card. Then we will see whether you're truly the holder of the ID. And then we also have OCR on your identity card, so you do not need to key in anything. And what else? Yeah, we also will we also would check whether your ID is an authentic ID card or not. Is a fraud? Is it a fake card, or do any amendment on your ID card? So all this is done through some AI and some SDK integration with Joget. All right, we won some awards, as you can see, and yeah, as you see, sorry, yeah, we won some award and got some media coverage for this project. So all this we developed in 3 months. Is considered super fast in a banking environment. And to mind you, this was the first time Alliance Bank developed using Joget and on OpenShift. And throughout the journey, I would like to say that we got a lot of support from Joget. And yeah, it gives us some confidence to moving on with Joget. And I would like to tell people that they don't plan to tell those folks they don't plan to have a low code, no code platform in future. Actually, the low code, no code platform is not only for. It's not meant for all the use cases, but it definitely will fit in on your forms use cases. You see, so. And the workflow the built-in workflow with the Joget is very convenient. So we also have this initiative on using the workflow engine to become one of the component of our marketing tech. So through the workflow, we can just track the customer behavior and send the relevant or respond to customer with some promotion if the customer decided to drop off or the customer decided to choose another product. This is one of our future planning. Next, please. As you can see, this is actually a mobile app, but it's all the screen you can see is just is Joget web form. So how we did it, which actually all this is running on web view. Okay, basically it's a mobile web view. So the mobile web view is running the Joget, opening the Joget web form. So why PWA is important in this case is because if you use a normal web view on a normal website, right, then the experience is not going to be a mobile-like experience, going to be a normal web-like experience. But with PWA compliance, straight away from out of the box from Joget, the feeling, the experience you have here is, I would like to say, no different from a native mobile. Okay, that's why Google promote it, right? All right, that's it. So at the end, I would like to give you 3 takeaways, which is if you plan to start, don't plan, start now. So just to give you just to share you my experience with Joget, I actually download the open source Joget install on my desktop. So I give you a test run before I propose to the management. So you can do the same. That's why I say you can start now, okay? And of course, to start small. So start now, start small. And second thing is if you want to choose a partner, choose a partner that you can trust. How trust coming in is through transparency, right? Through the way they deal with you, right? And in Agile, we always say Agile is focused on transparency, right? Why we need transparency? Because transparency create trust. And with trust, you can move a lot faster. Imagine you are in a company that have zero trust to your other department. Every time when the sales have a potential project, right, they will ask your development team, can we do this? Right? And when the development team tell the sales that yes, we can do it, but the sales don't trust it, then you need a longer time to clear up the things, right? So I think trust is very important for an organization to move very fast. That's why if you need a partner, you need a partner that you can trust. And that's why we choose Red Hat, right? Because you can trust Red Hat for the support. All right, I think the third takeaway is to ensure your architecture is lean. If your architecture is very complex, you can't explain in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, then I think you need to relook on your architecture. All right, that's all. Back to you, Ravish.
Chui, thank you so much, and I appreciate the trust that you have in Joget and OpenShift, Red Hat OpenShift. It is absolutely valuable for us to see our customers, leveraging the technologies and moving at a much faster speed, than regular. So I just want to quickly highlight. I mean, considering all these newer technologies that are coming in, the question we have in front of us is: are we ready for the change? Are you ready for the change? And I just want to share this interesting story. I mean, that I have. I shared this earlier also a number of times, but it's very fascinating to me to see. This is a bridge in Honduras. And what happened was there was a Hurricane Mitch that came in. The bridge was done very nicely, a masterpiece. A hurricane came in and destroyed everything around it. So now this bridge stands, in middle of nowhere. The bridge is right intact. These are some of our monolithic applications that we are hung up on. Those old mainframe applications that are still there, that still we are facing a challenge: should we sunset it or not, or the legacy applications. The problem is the environment has changed on you. The application that you did was beautiful when you stood it up, but when the environment came in this case, when the Hurricane Mitch came in, it changed the path of the river itself. So the bridge became completely irrelevant in today's scenario. And that's what happens to us a number of times. Sometimes, we have the perfectly designed bridge, the environment changed and made it irrelevant now. This happens to a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses, changed, when this whole COVID hit, the environment changed, the way we deal with these things changed. And hence, we need to look at the newer way of doing things. And the question you need to ask yourself is, are you ready? Changing fast with the environment, is this something in your DNA now? If not, you need to look at some of these technologies like low-code platforms and cloud-native technologies like OpenShift to be able to gain that speed or change that you want to do it fast. Do not, keep those old treasured applications. The environment has changed. Believe me or not, technology is something that either you embrace or you will be pushed into the newer technologies down the line by force at some point in time, because that will be the need of the hour. And at that time, believe it or not, you will never have enough time to implement it, to do it right. So I would encourage everyone to be proactive. Those who are not looking at low-code platforms, start looking at that. Take a look at Joget, download. You can try on your OpenShift cluster. You can try it without that as well to get started. And be prepared for this new changed environment, if you will. This is going to keep happening to you, and you want to be able to keep it up with that. So with that, I will just open it for the questions.
All right, great. We have gotten a couple questions in, but there's plenty of time, folks. If you have a question for either Ravish or Chuyi, go ahead and use the question and answer tab and put it on in, or you can put it in the chat and we'll move it over for you. No problem whatsoever. Let's go ahead and dive into the questions that we have already. The first question is from Chi, who asks, how does Joget support event-driven architecture?
Shali, thank you. And I think there was some reference in the architecture that Chuyi presented as well. But Joget has has a very strong plugin architecture. The backbone of an open source is a plugin architecture, which gives it, which makes it easy for you to create these plugins. Currently, there is a Kafka plugin that is available from Joget standpoint. You can go to Joget Marketplace, download that, and start using that. But you can integrate with any of your other, streaming or queue architecture, if you will. And Chewy and team already did that with AMQ, if you will.
All right, great. Let's see, so many questions. Before we get to the questions, though, I do want to let the audience know there are a number of handouts in the handout section that you can avail yourself of as well that might give you some great information about the technology. Here is another great question from Paul, who asks, what type of databases are supported?
So, especially with Joget, even on OpenShift, various databases are supported. I mean, you can use Microsoft SQL, MySQL, Oracle. The choice is yours on the databases. Postgres. It's up to you to decide on which database you want to run your platform.
All right. Excellent. Next question here, I think, is for you, Chuyi. The question is, let's see, can you talk about what is the most interesting feature with Joget that has helped you to go really fast?
As I said previously, I think that the drag and drop visual component is very interesting, and PWA, because it enables us to create one form to work in both mobile and web at once. These are the two most important features to us.
Excellent. All right. Oh, here's another question for you. How did Joget and OpenShift help you create value from a business perspective? That's an interesting one.
Okay. I think I should say something like Alliance Bank, right? We aim to be fast and simple, responsive to our customer, right? So the tools or platform that enable us to be fast to deliver and fast to innovate and fast to learn from mistake is quite important. So from business perspective, the cost to learn from mistake should be very low. And in this case, Joget and OpenShift the cost to learn from mistake is quite low, because if anything wrong with the Joget form, we just need to ask our product owner log in to the UAT and then make some changes, and it's good to go. Unlike the traditional, you need an experienced developer to change the coding, repackage, and do some deploy. Then only you can go to market. So the cost for in this case, the cost for Joget and OpenShift together is quite low for us to learn from our mistake and to innovate too, because we can come up with a form to test the market in like Ravish say, in 5 to 10 minutes. We just need to test the market, right? Can just come out a form or do A/B testing in a very short timing. So this kind of innovation cost is quite low compared to the previous traditional model.
Excellent. All right. So we are about 9 minutes to the top of the hour. We have time for a few more questions here, and I do invite folks to go ahead and get your question in if you do have one. Munib just put in a question. Does Joget support the maps feature if we want to build a live tracking or delivery system? Can it be implemented? Ravish, do you maybe want to try and take that one? I think we may have lost Ravish. Can you hear me, Ravish? Okay, well, we'll see if Ravish comes back on. Let's see. Let's go ahead and move on to our next question, and hopefully Munib will be able to get an answer for you before the end of the webinar.
Hi, Charlene. This is Hugo. Let me take on that.
Oh, okay, great. Hi, Hugo.
Yeah. So, hi, Munib. Thanks for the question. So, yes, of course, definitely. Joget itself has a plugin architectures, and the form element is one of the supported features. So, you can either develop if there's not already one, right? Then you can develop Google Maps form elements so that you'll be able to consume and make use of Google Maps implementations and to do this live trackings or delivery systems. So yes, it is possible. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that information, Hugo. And looks like we might have Ravish rejoining us, which is awesome. Don't want to lose any of our speakers during the webinar. But Chuyi, here's another question for you. I think, how would you advise someone to get started?
To get started, okay, I think I would reiterate what is the key takeaway, which is start small, start lean, and and for OpenShift is an amazing platform with a lot of pre-built tools and utilities, right? So don't reinvent the wheel. Harness the power of OpenShift rather than reinvent the wheel. And when we just want to share my experience with Red Hat, right? When we first started, we got a lot of help from the Red Hat consultant team to truly appreciate the OpenShift platform, because a lot of times those best practice or benchmark or the guide you found on Google might not be able to be fully adopted due to we are a bank, so we have our own compliance, we have our own standard and red tape. So I think to get a consultation from Red Hat is quite make us comfort and a lot of with our implementations. So
Excellent.
And sorry.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, as for Joget, it's very easy to get started with. It's just you can just download the tools, install to your desktop or on your server, and just get it started. Just publish your form. That's it.
All right. Great. Sounds awesome.
I got disconnected for a moment.
Yeah, welcome back, Ravish. We missed you, but we got the question answered. Hugo came on and saved the day. He was able to answer the question on your behalf. So
I do want to add to that. I believe that question was regarding the, what I can see is the map feature.
Right.
I just want to highlight one important thing. The basis or the core strength of any open source is its plugin architecture. If you are not, if you have an open source that you can extend for your needs, that's the whole idea for the application or the platform, and that's what Joget does. So I always say, if you're asking a feature that does not exist in Joget, it's just a plugin away. So always think in terms of, if this is not out of the box from Joget, it's just a plugin away from me. That's the idea I want you guys to think about and leave with.
Oh, great advice. All right, that's awesome. Thank you very much, Ravish and Chi, for answering the questions. We got a lot of really great ones from the audience, and I believe we've gone through all of them. But if there is a question that you have for either of our speakers, go ahead and get it on in. We might not be able to get to it here in the webinar, but certainly it will be included in the report that they receive, and I'm sure that they'll be more than happy to follow up with you offline to get your question answered. I do also want to remind the audience that today's event has been recorded. So if you missed any or all of the presentation, or if you just want to watch it again, you'll have the opportunity. We are going to be sending out an email after today's webinar that contains a link to access the webinar on demand. And as I said earlier, the webinar is also going to be living on the devops.com website, so you can go look for it there. Just go to devops.com/webinars and look in the on-demand section, and it should be right there waiting for you. All right, I did mention at the top of the hour that we would be doing a drawing for 4 $25 Amazon gift cards, as well as 2 $250 vouchers to Joget Academy. So real quick, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do the Amazon gift cards first. Our first winner for those is Anthony T. Congratulations, Anthony. Our second winner for the Amazon gift card is Alan S. Congratulations, Alan. Our third winner today for the Amazon gift card is Paul C. Congratulations, Paul. And our final winner for the Amazon gift cards is Patrick Q. Congratulations, Patrick. We'll be following up with all 4 of you offline via email to get your Amazon gift card over to you. So please check your inbox. And if you don't see anything there, please check your spam folder. All right. And then regarding the 2 $250 Joget Academy vouchers, our first winner today is Parminder S. Congratulations, Parminder. And our second winner is Trisha P. Congratulations, Trisha. The folks from Joget will be reaching out to you to get your voucher over to you. So please, again, check your inbox. I am sure they'll be getting in touch with you, probably via email. So we'll get that over to you. But congratulations to all 6 of our winners today. And also want to thank Ravish and Chuyi for what a great presentation. Great stuff, great use cases. I love to hear how organizations are using the technology. So thank you both very, very much for such an insightful presentation.
Thank you very much, Charlene. And thanks, Chuyi, for your insights.
Thank you.
I also want to thank the audience for joining me today. This is Charlene O'Hanlon, and I am signing off. Have a great day, everybody. And please, whatever you do, stay safe.